Bulls fans, welcome into another edition of the Around the Horns podcast, the official podcast of the Pueblo Bulls Hockey Club. Trysten, your host, back again. Joining me as always, Mario, my main man, Mario. Another great weekend of hockey in the books for the Bulls. Exciting show on deck today.
Absolutely. We are so excited. The Bulls have come home from their first road campaign. They're at 500 right now, but I think the season's still early, and we've got a lot to cover and talk about the rest of the season and where we go moving forward.
Joining us now, a pro on the podcast already. Got a week under your belt, David Nelson. Thanks for joining us again, David.
Hey, thank you guys for having me. Excited to be here.
So I say great weekend of hockey. I'm sure from the coaches and GM's standpoint, not so great because you ended up bass-ackwards, 1-2 on the weekends on the road against Ogden. Talk about it.
Yeah, obviously, like I mentioned last week, we were excited going into our first weekend of road games. Obviously, a lot of expectation, a lot of hype going into it. Unfortunately, we only were able to pull out, one out of, 3 games there. But, we're able to grow from it, learn from our mistakes, and now, heading into weekend here back at home, obviously, to get back on the track. We won last Sunday, so we'll hopefully keep that going here Friday.
Talk about what switched between Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday. It's like something clicked, and all of a sudden the guys knew what they were doing. Not to say that Friday and Saturday weren't hard-fought games, but Sunday was like watching you school some Little Leaguers out there.
Yeah, no, obviously Sunday was, the guys came to the rink ready to go. They played well. Difference as far as, Friday, Saturday compared to Sunday, honestly, we were just able to bury on our opportunities. I think, Friday and Saturday, we were able to fight the battle as far as, getting the bounces. We seem to get frustrated a little bit, get away from our systems, start understanding that there's pressure added once things aren't going our way. And I think Sunday it just kind of all broke open for us. We were able to score the first goal, which was good. I think that relieved a lot of pressure. And then we're able to, just start grinding her out. We kept it simple, played our systems well, and ultimately found the back of the net, which is obviously big for our guys and kind of take that monkey off.
Yeah, Dave, obviously we've had a lot of new guys on the team, first time playing. We alluded to last week the bigger ice, that Olympic-size ice, and just the style of play. How did that affect the game over the weekend, or the games, I should say?
Honestly, we were prepared for it. Obviously, like we mentioned last week, we have a group of guys that we believe that the bigger ice plays to our strengths and whatnot with our speed and skill. I think it was a little bit as far as getting used to, on Friday night, moved into Saturday, which was okay. And then, like I said, Sunday kind of just everything opened up for us. I think, obviously, you fight the battle. That was our first road trip, so you're on the bus for 10-plus hours, learning and growing as far as getting mentally and physically ready, Friday night. But it came down to just us, playing our game, staying, within our system and structure and not really worrying about, the excess noise. Obviously, that weekend for Ogden, they played well, not taking anything away from them. They got 2 victories, and you find a way to do that. But that was their opening weekend, too, so they got to play in front of fans. A little bit easier for them to show up to the rink Friday and Saturday and Sunday versus, for us on the road. So overall, it was a good weekend. You touched on it right now. We're sitting at 500, but we look to take that next step this weekend.
And how does that feel? Sorry, Mario, but picking up the big W is always easier when you've got the bus ride ahead of you and you can celebrate that big victory. Now you get to come back home. You had an awesome first series here, opening weekend just 1 week ago. Now you get to do that against the same set of fans and another good team coming in. But how do you guys channel that victory on Sunday and make it happen for 3 straight this weekend?
I think, obviously, when we're looking at channeling things, you just try to take the positives out of that worked for us, right? So obviously, we played our systems a little bit more structure on Sunday, shooting the puck more, going into those dirty areas of the house and finding things that worked well. Got home late, Monday morning or whatever, and gave the guys the day off. They came to practice, ready to go for the next 2 days here. And now we're looking at, Thursday already as far as looking into the weekend. You really just try to roll with it. I think, like I touched on earlier, a lot of guys got the monkey off their back as far as just finding the back of the net. And really, you're at game 6. You're finally starting to get into a groove. And you touched on it. It's easier for us to wake up and get ready to play at home in front of our home base and home rink, home fans, everything that comes with it. And so I think, for the guys, they got a little bit of chip on their shoulder here now as far as nobody's satisfied where we're at. And now we can, take the next step here, not only this weekend, but for, back-to-back weekends playing at home and really try to take that stride in the division.
Now you're back home for the weekend, obviously. Scouting report for the team upcoming. What are you guys preparing for with this team? Do you know much about them?
So the only thing we really know about Utah is obviously they were in the Western States last year. They were in a different division. We watched them play a handful of times at the showcase last year. But as far as scouting report, they play their systems really well. They're very structured. They play at a high pace just like us. They got good mobile defensemen. They have a handful of returners coming back from last year's team. So we, understand as far as what we learned in the past, but this is game one for them. So we have no film on them. We have nothing as far as that. This is game one. So even touching on, like I said, with Ogden home opener, this is, game one of their campaign this year. So we understand they'll be ready to go. They've had a few extra weeks to implement their systems and prepare for us, and ultimately they have 6 games on a scouting report for us too. So they are going to come in ready to go and look to obviously be a damper on our Friday night playing at home. But I think as far as our preparation, at the end of the day, we can focus on what they're bringing, but we got to focus on how we're going to play too. And I think that's one thing we've kind of turned our heads too early here is what's working for us. Let's not so much focus on the other teams, what's been positive for us and how can we fix the negatives into positives and grow in that way.
A couple of good positives we'll talk about with Coach Tunes a little later, the defensive side of the puck, but especially on the offensive side, let's talk about one of the studs that finally got that monkey off his back and showed a little bit more of like what he was doing last year in Benny St-Onge, a guy that looks like he's been waiting to blow up. We'll talk with him later, but from the coach's perspective, what have you seen from him?
Honestly, I've seen a lot of growth in his game. I think Benny's the type of guy that has a big expectation for himself, obviously on the ice and off the ice. And, we acquired him last year, halfway through the year, but he came in last year, did everything we asked him, and now he's taken a step this year and being a leader for us as well, too. And, he's a guy that, like I said, comes to the rink prepared every day, whether it's practice or a game, comes to the training center here at SPC, ready to go. And he holds himself accountable. So he's hard on himself. He understands that he's a guy that we look to. He understands that other guys on our team are he's one of those guys that they look at. So it's important for him to understand that whether things are going good or bad, he's still kind of got to be level-headed at all costs, right? If he's having a bad game, guys still look at him, so he's still got to be positive. He's still got to find a way to bring other dynamic to his game. You touched on he's very offensive. I thought this weekend he fought it a little bit as far as Friday and Saturday along with everybody else, but he was able to find the net Sunday. I think, like I said, that's a monkey off his back, and he's a guy that I think he'll take big strides this weekend.
Briggs, another guy that we're going to talk a little bit later on the show with, but a guy that got some recognition from the league last week for being a stud on the offensive side. Another good, solid series for him. What do you expect from him moving forward?
I just expect him to continue to take his strides. He's a guy that we acquired here and signed from OKC over the summer. Obviously, it's new surroundings for him, so it's a little bit of a slower as far as coming in and learning systems, our structure, your day-to-day that you're technically, not used to. But he's really just come in and been a leader for us as well. He's a guy that's been in this league, played, 45-plus games, has 70 points, all that. Everything comes to him pretty naturally, but he's come in and done exactly what he's expected to do. He has another guy where he comes to the rink every day, has an expectation of what he's trying to accomplish, and I think you're seeing that obviously on the score sheet, but more behind the scenes, I think he's come into our locker room and he could be a guy that says, hey, I've already done this, I've already done that, but he's really just been open arms with it and understanding his role and whatnot, and he'll continue to find his role too. He'll continue to take that next step just like everybody else, and good things will be on the horizon for him.
Well, nice to get the coach's perspective on this one. We'll have more from both of those guys, Benny St-Onge and Brigham Neuhold, coming up later. Coming up later in the show. Thanks for joining us on the first period today, Dave.
Thanks, Dave.
Mario and Trysten going to be back second period talking with Tyler Tuneburg, another coach, GM for the Bulls. Don't go anywhere. It's the Around the Horns podcast. We'll be right back. Bulls fans, we're back for the second period talking all things Pueblo Bulls hockey on the official podcast of the Pueblo Bulls Hockey Club, Around the Horns. Trysten and Mario back this time, joined by assistant GM and coach Tyler Tuneburg. Tyler, first time on the show. Welcome in.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. This is really exciting and happy to be here.
At the SPC, first of all, what a great facility, especially from your perspective as a coach, watching these guys get strong in this facility every week. Got to feel good, especially on the defensive side of things.
Yeah, definitely. I think we're pretty spoiled here. It's definitely something that we promote and we want our guys to use. We have all the weights that you can imagine, racks, squat racks, dumbbells, pretty much every machine that you can think of. Also have the cryo machine here, hot tub, cold tub, that type of thing. So I think for us and our coaching staff, our mindset is we expect a lot out of these guys day in and day out, but we give them every tool to succeed. We don't set the expectation without reason. We have the tools to do what we're asking them to do, so that's falls in with this facility. It's amazing.
Not to beat a dead horse or anything, we talked to David just a little bit ago about last weekend's series going on the road and unfortunately coming away with only one victory, but that was a big victory and a lot of guys showed up. Mario had mentioned it on the defensive side. First goals for a couple of guys on your side of the puck.
Yeah, it was good to see Big Mac, Max and Cottle getting engaged offensively. A really nice rush, picked his spot and kind of just sniped it. Also had another defenseman, not his first, but Alex Fabry with a nice breakaway. You definitely don't see too many defensemen on breakaways, so for him to quote unquote break loose here and snipe one top cheddar, that's what I like to see for sure.
Question on Fabry, best lettuce on the team?
Yeah, I won't give him too much credit, but those French guys, they got some pretty good hair, that's for sure.
So you're 2 series in. You've seen 2 teams, 6 games. What is your assessment overall with the D pairings? How are they looking? Any changes to expect this week?
Not too much on the D side. I think for us, it's just learning. We do have an older group on the back end, but we also have some young guys. Growing pains are going to come. But I think for myself, I've been pleasantly surprised, and I think the guys are working really hard. We did have a chance to add a defenseman, Connor Williams, out of Detroit. He's going to be a guy that we'll lean on here moving forward. But in terms of pairs and things like that, it's just kind of who wants to show up and who's playing well, and that stuff kind of works itself out, which for me, we got 7 or 8 guys that can go every single night, so those decisions get pretty tough now with adding another good player. And so for us, it's been really good in practice to see those guys working, getting better. I think for the younger guys, it's an opportunity for them to watch an older guy who's been there, done some good things. But I think for the older guys, it allows them to work on their craft and get ready for the weekend of games and their next level as well.
It's one of those questions I asked Chris last week about with so many talented guys on the team, especially knowing what this league is set up for, getting guys on ice to get them a shot, especially now bringing in another big stud on the defensive side. Is there any quelling that has to go on by saying like, hey, your turn is coming, or this is all kind of he said you don't even call them first, second, third lines or anything. It's just kind of your turn up when the shift rolls around.
Yeah. So I know Chris has mentioned it, and I'll reiterate it. It's an exit up mentality. It's not one guy carries the load and the other 5 guys watch. I think we want everybody involved, everybody engaged, and that's when we're at our best, is when everybody's firing, everybody's doing their job, and continuing, like I said, to push each other, but also create opportunity. When one man goes down, the next guy's ready to go. He's ready to hop in the spot, ready to execute. So I think for us as a coaching staff, that's been really exciting, and we're really happy with that aspect of it.
Now, we already talked about Max and Cottle coming in and scoring that first goal. I got to think, as a coach, you got to love having that big guy on defense back there, and when he gets that puck, you know he's going to let one rip. How's that feel to have add him, and you got Andre, you got some big guys back there.
Yeah, we definitely do. I think Big Mac is a guy that obviously was pretty offensive this weekend. He's really responsible defensively. He's a guy we lean on PK and penalty kill wise. Obviously with the recent addition of Pazdernik, Big Mike, he's another big guy back there. Obviously having a little trouble staying out of the penalty box, but we're working on that as well. So I think he's understood that this is a little bit of a softer league, and I don't mean that disrespectfully, but it's the NCAA rule book. It's not a junior rule book. So for us to have that rough and tumble type of game, it's allowed, but obviously you got to not see some numbers and hit them from the side, or maybe wrap up and stick them. So we're working on some technique things at practice, and I wouldn't expect too many more of those. That's for sure.
We can get a permanent residency card for him if you like, and just say sin bin, throw it on, and put it in his locker next week.
No, definitely. And he's a guy, he's a competitor for sure. Even after he takes those hits, he does question the ref, which sometimes, you watch some film with him and you say, hey, that's probably a good call. So like I said, we're working through it. He's a guy who wants to play. He doesn't want to, run people from behind or spend 5 minutes in the box at a time, although it, may seem that way. But he's a guy that we want on the ice. Our forecheck is better with him on the ice. We're better in our D zone. So you mentioned some big, strong guys. He directly falls into that category. So.
And talk about the new goalie. We got to see a little bit of Sproul this weekend in net. Like what you see from the new guy.
I definitely did. I thought Blake played really, really well. I know a couple squeaked through there on the goal line, and the D-man saved him, but that's why we're a team. I thought he played really, really well. I thought he tracked pucks extremely well. He got out of his crease and got pretty comfortable. For his first junior win, 8-1, you can't beat that. So he's a kid that we're going to rely on here moving forward. Having him and Dougie and the other guys who are in the mix and battling for spots and playing time, although you haven't seen them, they are coming. They're going to contend as well. I think just like forwards and defensemen, next man up in mentality, but Blake played really great on Sunday. So
is that different as a coach, especially with a guy like Henry last year, knew he was going to go in between the pins every single time. He didn't have to count on anyone else. Now you've got a little rotation you can fall back on.
Yeah, definitely. I know why, like you just mentioned, Hank carried a lot of the load. For us playing 3-game weekends, it's kind of rolling with what comes. I think it's a lot for a goaltender to play, 9 periods of hockey in one weekend, and you see a lot of other teams in our league playing those 3-game weekends. You look at what they do. So for us to have options, it's been really, really nice. I'll tell you that.
These guys coming up now, obviously they're not your defensive guys, but give us a little sneak peek of what these guys are going to be sharing with us in this show.
Yeah, definitely. Although they aren't, my decor, I do run the penalty kill. I have these guys on the penalty kill as well. I'll warn you, they're characters. So if you're not careful, they'll definitely give you a run for your money. But no, like David touched on just before, they're leaders. They're guys who have been around the block before. But I think they're young players who have a really, really bright future. Both of them will play NCAA here, if not next year, the year after for Mr. St-Onge, and Brig will play NCAA as well. So I think you're lucky to talk to two of a couple of good players here. So.
Well, Tyler, lucky to talk with you today. Thanks for joining us on the Around the Horn show. First time in the books. Now you got to be a pro. You're back in the book.
That's right. Looking forward to being on again, and thank you guys for doing this.
Well, thanks. Congrats on everything to this point in the season. Third period coming up. Going to talk to two of the Bulls' top players. Brigham Neuhold, Benny St-Onge coming up. Don't go anywhere. Third period of the official podcast for the Pueblo Bulls, the Around the Horns podcast. We'll be right back. Bulls fans, welcome in. Third period of the Around the Horns podcast, the official podcast of the Pueblo Bulls Hockey Club. We talked about them earlier in the show already. Now we're joined by two of the Bulls' top skaters, Benny St-Onge, Brigham Neuhold. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Now, we're in the SPC. This has got to be a nice place to come in. You guys are normally in here bright and early in the morning. Antoine is whipping you guys into shape. It's a little bit more laid back in the studio, isn't it?
Yeah, here it's a lot different than being out on the turf out there lifting weights, Closest thing to this is the recovery room. We love hanging out in there in the hot tub, cold tub, using the Normatex. It's a nice facility.
Now, Brig, I'll start with you. A question, some recognition for your offensive efforts over the last couple of games. The USPHL naming you the player of the week. It's got to feel good. You're on a new team, kind of having to go out there, prove yourself a little bit, but you did it well. You blend in well, and you bring a lot to the Bulls team. What does that mean to you?
It To me, being a part of a winning culture is just like the big aspect of it. Come in and play a role, whatever I can do to help win, and it's great getting recognition. But it's a winning culture, so that everyone takes a part in it, and it's a team effort. So.
And Benny, talking about personal accolades now, leading the team with 11 points, and a guy that, we talked with David and Tyler earlier, that the team relies on now, can count on your offensive prowess. How are things feeling for you right now through 6 games?
I think it felt good, but it's more of my teammates. I have to rely on them every single game, and I couldn't be like that many points without them. And obviously with the coaches and our team are getting us better every single day, and that's probably why we can be that much so good offensively.
Now, I got to ask you, we had Kale on the show last week, and he said he only had 2 points on the stat sheet. He got that promptly corrected, and we made sure to bump his numbers up before he got on the show. Any grievances you want to file, get you up to maybe 14, 15 before we actually make this show go live?
No, I'll stay with my 11. That's fine. That's it.
Well, congrats. 11's still good through 6.
For sure. And, when we talked to the guys last week, too, we talked about who had the sweetest hands, right? And I think unanimously you were talked about the most. So if you're the reigning king of the soft hands, who's your pick if you can't pick yourself? Who's got the best hands?
I'd say Ivanov, Biggie.
Okay.
He's like probably the smoothest I've ever seen with his hand. You just see him, you never know what he's gonna do, and you just see the puck going somewhere else, and you're like, how he did that? From this guy, it's just like you never know what's coming, and just feel like he's so smooth with the puck.
Brig, what about you? Pick top hands on the team.
I mean, other than Benny, I'd probably say Biggie pulls off some stuff that you don't expect from him by just looking at him. Another guy, Javen Billings, he's got some pretty good hands. You could see that like in the corners, as he's trying to get to the net. So I think those 2 guys have some pretty good hands.
Other thing that we like to ask people, and we didn't give you guys the heads up on it beforehand, but being in Pueblo now, both of you newer guys to the area, but food seems to be a big deal around here, and a lot of good food going on. Brig, if you had to pick a top spot, where's your go-to for grub?
I don't know. I'm a big Chipotle guy, so I know it's
You
nothing.
can get that anywhere.
Yeah, I know it's nothing local. I think I've been to 2 local places. I've been to Mi Ranchito and I've been to Coors. I had a slopper at Coors.
All right.
And I hate to say it, but I'm not a big slopper guy. I don't like the slopper.
We'll edit that part out for you.
Yeah, don't worry about that.
All right. But I
we
think,
need to talk to your billet parents and have them take you out more.
Yeah.
Well, so I'd probably go Mi Ranchito. That's where I like.
Okay.
If nothing else, we'll get you some Pueblo chilies. You can dice them up and throw them on your Chipotle, and then we won't give you such a hard time.
Okay.
Benny, what about you, man?
I'd say when the chili, my better dad does an awesome chili, and it's probably the best one I've had here. I'm not a big chili guy, not a big pepper kind of taste guy, but I'd say his chili is pretty good.
Well, we've got a contest at the office, and Mario and his wife actually won the chili cook-off. So if you're looking for some good chili, hit up the co-host right here. He doesn't make a bad one.
I will.
That's why I have the body I do. Now let me ask you this, Benny. What do you miss most about home, food-wise? What can't you get here in Pueblo that you like to eat back home?
I mean, obviously, poutine is a big thing back home. I'm not a big poutine guy, but you always feel good going back home and eating a big one. And
All right.
Yeah, and it's always feels good to have those cheese curds and gravy with those fries.
They are tasty.
Yeah, they are pretty tasty.
Brig, you spent last year in OKC, missing the barbecue yet?
I don't think I ate Chipotle pretty much every day while I was there.
Man.
I mean, it's home for me, so I mean, I know all the local spots, but just going to Chipotle after practice is my go-to.
Well, we're going to get off of Chipotle and back onto the ice. We're
I don't know.
going to
Let's
talk
get him a
about the season.
sponsorship. I think we can go somewhere with this.
Yeah, the official
Hopefully sponsor you. On the back of your jersey is going to be sponsored by Chipotle.
There it is.
Yeah,
I need a
the
shoulder
official
patch.
bowl of the Pueblo Bulls. I don't know.
the Bull Bowl.
The burrito bulls. I don't know what we call it. But back to the ice for both you guys. Obviously making a big impact. You guys are sitting at 500 and coming back home after a tough road stint. 3 games ahead of you. What are you guys looking forward to doing?
I think we're still in the beginning of the season, and that we have way more to show and to people and to other teams that we're a strong, fast team and a physical team and very skilled. And I think after that weekend, we had a good conversation with all the boys and the coaches, and we knew about being a family more and playing as a family. And I think it showed on Sunday with that 8-1 win. And I think we can just grow from now.
Yeah, I think the coaches had it right when they said we kind of have like a chip on our shoulder now. I think dropping 2 games to Ogden, which we as a team know that we shouldn't have dropped, but playing for the brother next to you in the locker room and realizing that everyone has something that they bring to the table personally, and when everyone brings that, we play amazing. So I think with that in mind, I think that's where we're going with this next weekend, is just take three wins and everyone brings everything they can.
Well, if you've got the chip on your shoulder, hopefully someone brings the guac, makes you feel a little bit more at home this weekend. Guys, thanks for joining us. Yeah, another Chipotle reference. Pointing it out makes it funnier. That's a really good thing. But thanks for stopping by. I mean, first time on the show, we just appreciate you guys taking some time out and wish you the best of luck this weekend at home.
Awesome. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Around the Horns podcast, the official podcast of the Pueblo Bulls. You can find the show every single week, audio on Podbean, video going up on Facebook. Follow the Pueblo Bulls on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, and make sure to keep updated this weekend as the Bulls are back at home for 3 straight. For Mario, Trysten, the crew here, thanks for listening. We're out.